name is Graham Kepley. I am originally from Pennsylvania, I would say, but I've been in Arizona for around, say, 12 years now. I grew up in a lot of different kinds of, whether it be biker politics or just stuff like it was around. That kind of world was around, but a version that I didn't want to be a part of. So a whole lot of even like not even like knowing like right off the bat outside of me being 8 years old and being like, I'm gonna get a full Grim Reaper back piece as my first tattoo. Like I had so much drive. Like just like I was a sparky kid, man. You know what I mean? I got a lot of energy, and that's just how I am today. But regardless, kind of that was like some conscious incense. Like artwork was something that always kind of drove me in a way that I didn't even know yet. And I let a lot of people live my life, you know what I mean? And eventually it kind of came to a point of absolute uncomfortability, and a lot of people can think about too, like certain moments in their life or the day that everything changed. You know what I mean? As I say, and for me, like that big thing it was a leap. You know what I mean? I was going to barber school, trying to appease other people for a life that, I was like, oh, like they have to be happy, but I'm like, how do I be happy simultaneously? So you come to that conclusion whether or not like it's either A, I live my truest life and be fulfilled, and people come along, amazing. I'm like, or I suffer for the sake of somebody's work. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and even growing up, like seeing 9 to 5s, having college pushed into my head at such an early age, like what you're gonna do with life. And like I really came to a point early on where I was like, I don't want to do something that is gonna make me fucking hate every single day of my existence. You know what I mean? And some people could say it's a little bit more rash. Like they're like, oh, you don't have to take it that far. I'm like, well, when you feel as much as you do, and especially in a certain sense, you know what I mean? I feel like you just lack passion. I was gonna say lack a lot of drive. You know what I mean? I was gonna say, do you live for something? Like, just because you're breathing doesn't mean you're alive there. But the big thing was, I guess, talking to Joe. I was gonna say, Joe was my mentor long ago, back when we had Faithless or whatever else too, but now at this beautiful establishment. It was just, I guess, one fateful day. Like I went in, my family was eating dinner across the street. I literally walked up to the shop where his old mentor owned, and first time that I met him, just kind of showed a bunch of stuff. And after that point, you just couldn't get rid of me. You know what I mean? Like I was just there all the time. Like even when I was a senior in high school, I would leave early and just have people drop me off just to be there, even without a guarantee of an apprenticeship. But then to speed that up a little bit, like back to the barber school thing, like I was doing that. And then finally, being back out here from moving back from Pennsylvania, because I left after high school, and just kind of did steel work, did a bunch of excess, just really put my hands on labor. And I guess in a sense, it was a way of me like truly re-reminding myself of what I want to pursue in life. And then coming back and then because he offered it to me, funny enough, dude, he offered me that apprenticeship the minute I moved to PA. And I was like, dude, I would love to. I'm like, I literally just spent all this money and moved 2,700 miles away. I was like, that's hard. And he's like, no, I get it. I'm like, it's nothing to me with me not doing this, but I'm gonna be out here for this long. Like, this is how it is. But fate would tell it differently. That one day my barber teacher was just like, hey, like she kept pushing back class, and I was like, my brother had to drop me off because I had to take the bus most of the time. What is it? I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm like, drop me off at this place. And I told him to drop me off at this shop because he just took over everything. And was like, hey, come by, check it out, so on and so forth. And like literally in those few hours, like I helped set everything up. I talked to everybody, did a bunch of stuff, and then he offered me my apprenticeship that time. And literally within that day, I took it. 2 weeks later, I quit barber school. And I left my house with the rest of my family, like a lot of people who just had knives in my back, didn't really believe in what I was doing. I sold my stuff to live, and eventually he was kind enough to let me live in his house with his kids and his wife, just to pursue this, to full-time get into doing what I'm doing. And it was one of those things too, even I guess kind of a side note, that you gotta remind yourself that there's some people in life who simply just are there to watch you prosper. They just care. That's it. You know what I mean? And I understand, like a lot of days, kindness almost seems as flirtation, or you're trying to get something out of it, especially being from the East Coast. That's 9 times out of 10, that's what people are going to think you're doing. They're like, what do you want? Why are you holding the door for me? You know what I mean? Like, as I just say, so, and it sucks, but when you have those true people, and that's why I say it's like, when you know the difference, you know the difference. But that was the day that changed everything. That's literally like the point that got me into this, and what even got me here today. Like, I remember I was just talking to him about it. He FaceTimed me one night, and he literally told me the only reason you're still here is because of who you are as a human being. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I see so much potential in you, so much that stuff. He's like, everything that you can go and what you can do, he's like, but you get in your own way. So I'm going to say so. And obviously we go through those points, and he was just a great teacher for me at the same time, like when it comes to the things that I needed to know and get into, that if I didn't have that, I mean, I don't know if I would even be in this industry. Not saying that I was coddled, but there was just a lot that I was going through at the same time of getting into this. So, and again, with the teamwork aspect, it's like I usually like to kind of ask people to at the same time. Like, and again, it's you can't formulate all factual evidence just from yourself. You know what I mean? Like you got to doubt what you're asking people here and there. But ultimately, I guess into the sense of the stuff that I really, really like getting into and just doing, is one side of it would be like you get a lot of the nerd culture elements and things like that, so on and so forth. Whether I put my own like realistic twist on it, where like things like that, a lot of that stuff is just something that hits home for me, and to a sense of not just the things that I enjoy, because then at the same time, like I get to share that love of the same thing with then the person that I'm tattooing. You know what I mean? And that thus further creates a bond. As I say, and then whether it's something that happens in the future or they get more of just the one thing, or even if it changes, it's still one of those things that it's just like my artwork at the same time, even with the stuff that I do, allows me to meet some super fucking cool human beings. As I say, but even if so, like as I say, it's the other side of it would be, which is funny, there's no middle. Either it's, I'm doing Pokemon anime characters, scenery of things in that nature or whatever else, or I'm doing demonic faces, teeth, and mangled flesh, vile organic work, you know what I mean? Which is something, in my opinion, is pure creation. You know what I mean? You're literally putting some kind of control on chaos, but you're doing it in such a manner in your own way that it's something that once you learn the rules, you almost immediately break the rules. So then it creates something new. Like when you really look into the subgenres of it all, like the biomechanical, the bioorganic, the plant work, the architecture, even going and down into like flesh work, or as I say, you even see like H.R. Geiger influenced stuff, where all that had come from. Guy Aitchison, like a lot of that kinds of stuff. There's so many different views and shapes and worlds of it. You know what I mean? For me as a person, it's like I said, it's raw. As I say, it's like you're not even sitting there. Sometimes people make stencils, but most of the time it's something that's so purely dedicated to a craft that it's I don't know, it's hard to not be excited about it. So with the nerd culture stuff, like whether it be like me doing like one of my favorite pieces when I'm doing more like the Courage the Cowardly Dog and the Knight Armor, or doing something where it's like a crossover of some kind, like a lot of that stuff, like again, like it's into a sense, like I just find a lot of love out of it, just because of being such I guess, I feel like a better phrase, just being such a nerd myself. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just have such a love that gravitates toward it already, and then even just the way that I really enjoy tattooing, and especially nowadays, that how it comes out, the difference that it creates, like a whole new different kind of perception of this thing. You know what I mean? And especially, again, like being able to actually, like I share that with somebody else at the same time, and be able to formulate, like I said, those bonds, and then even, again, just I guess, I mean, even so, because how often, like even when I was as an apprentice, I'm like, who's gonna get this kind of stuff? Like I love doing it, you know what I mean? I was gonna say, so it's just like, well, I'm not gonna do it. Like, but nowadays, that's the great thing, is that it's just, we take a lot of that attachment off of it, so it's so much cooler and so much easier for people to just be like, absolutely, like let's do this stuff, because a lot of people are realizing that it's just as much as a piece of them as it is anything else. Like, and I say to a lot of people, like, that you shatter a glass window, like you might have a few pieces that are the main frame, but it doesn't make the whole window. You get smaller pieces and even smaller pieces and even smaller pieces that sometimes get lost. I'm like, but those are the things that all still create the big picture. So regardless if it's something that you just like, or if it's something that was devoted to your grandmother, or something that was in commemoration of somebody else, you know what I mean? It all means the same. It all is just as meaningful as anything else, because it is a part of you. So, and even with where I'm going and a lot of things that I know, like whether it's ripping that Band-Aid off, going to these expos, going to conventions, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I still got to be a part of in this industry that I haven't yet experienced. And I know some people could look down upon that or whatever else that I need, or it just might be potential. But for me, when it comes to that kind of change, the only thing that brings to me is excitement. Because again, I'm very much a person of experience. I'm very much a person of you just being being a decent individual. I was gonna say, so when it comes to not just seeing these creative minds and then especially like the impacts that they make, it's gonna be awesome to be able to not just meet them, but talk to them, sit down with them, even, make these connections, talk to these new people. Obviously, I'm gonna meet a lot of people that, I'm probably not gonna talk to, as I say, but that's everybody, not everybody gets along, and that's okay, I was gonna say, because if that was the case, then connecting with somebody would seem meaningless. Because if we all just connected to everybody all the time, then it would just be really never be crazy. But regardless, no. I mean, it's when it comes to, I guess you could say, that kinds of stuff. Like, I'm just willing. Is, I guess, the biggest point. Whether it comes next, and then obviously I'm here to progress myself. I'm here to progress my own work. I want this place to prosper. I want to prosper. I want everybody here to do the absolute best that they possibly can with wherever we decide to go. I was gonna say, and it's been really cool at the same point too, in knowing how Mark is at the same time, because even in our speaks and our talks and stuff like that he very much is, it seems like we're on that same wavelength when it comes to what we want to see out of the place, and then at the same time too, what we want to see out of ourselves and where we go teamwork wise. So I'm just, it'll be cool, and I know he knows a lot of people, and at the same time too, he's a good guy, so I can imagine he knows a lot of good people. So as I say, getting into there and then just getting further into that, is exciting, but at the same time too, I shouldn't say it's a pipe dream, but more to the point of that it's in the air, you know what I mean? As I say, and until it's there, I guess you could say, then I shouldn't say I'll be making a plan or anything else like that, but I'll have a much better idea into the sense too of now where I want to go with this and where I want to go with this. I was gonna say, so the biggest thing that I can sit here and I guess say with my future plans is to simply just keep getting better, whether it's not just me, but my artwork, my tattoos, people around me, the things that I involve myself in, and again, with everything that kind of comes with that, you know what I mean? I want to make an impact, you know what I mean? It's not even one of those things too at the same time where I'm like, I demand respect, but I want the big people especially too, that we want to sit here and idolize. I want to be able to have that same sense, which I've had before. Not saying that I crave it to any sense, but being a part of those situations where even those who are sitting down to learn from you are willing to teach you, as they say, or to have those points, because I mean, truly what we have is right here. You know what I mean? And I guess that's my big point, because once it's here in front of me, then I can do everything in my potential and everything that I know in my knowledge to make it happen. I was going to say, so, and a lot of the times, especially in this industry, you got to be able to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, whether it's in a drop of a hat, whether it's in change of the things, a big representation of even today. I was going to say is that we can still be professional, make these things work. We can still go through, have a great time without, feeling like we're badgering or doing these things or whatever else that it may be, you know what I mean? So, and even a simple sense when it comes across to all people, and even another thing as artist to artist, that we're all the same in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? So I was going to say, so, and again, it's equally exciting because of the fact of being able to pick these people's brains and then finding that common ground to be like, oh, hey, cool. This is what you do about this. This is what you're into. You know what I mean? And a lot of people take me wrong because I just care about things. You know what I mean? That's one part of me that'll never die, So, and that's why it'll always be a large part of what I want to use to grow, because there's a lot of people in the world I feel who don't know what kindness looks like, you know what I mean, or they just don't know how to recognize it, even when it comes to a sense of, somebody wanting to learn, or somebody, just wanting to simply be there to see how you do in this tattoo, or whatever it may be, to even put myself back out there into those points, to meet those people, and even for my own goal, for what I want to shed on life, is to start putting that in people's lives. Not just as an artist, there are things that we can be capable of and put out there on skin, because that's done. And we know it can be done. I'll get there. I was going to say, but the biggest point to me is how we're treating each other and how we're basing each other along that process. So I'm pretty simple right now when it comes to stuff like that. I still use my phone number and my Instagram for a lot of when it comes to contacting me. Which of course, eventually will come a time point, you know what I mean, where, and not saying that I'm just gonna wait till then, but obviously there'll come a time where it's just like I have a lot of people on my schedule, or a lot of people wanting to get in, which, I was gonna say, it'll in due time when it happens to that sense that I'll get somebody to help me out, or I'll get other measures, which I'm definitely working on, like whether it be like working on the website for Dark Art and so like so on and so forth. So it's like if you want to go through the website to see us or be able to get to my contacts and stuff like that, that's another easier way to do it. Even if it's one of those things too, which I try my best on my social media nowadays to show a little bit more of who I am at the end of the day. Like whether it's stuff that I do outside of work, things that I just enjoy. Let's see, so you can get a little bit more of the human nature out of it. I guess you could say that I'm just not just some scary dude with tattoos, you know. But at the same time too, it's as simple as that. You know, you could shoot me a message on Instagram. Like I'm really good about getting back to people, even if it's one of those things. Of course, like I'm still like a brand, a business, a person at the end of the day. So if it's it's my day off, that I'll probably take a good amount of that day just to myself. I'll just say, but it's not one of those things where it's like, I guess you could say like. I mean, I haven't gotten the picture, I guess at this point for me explaining, like, I try to keep that experience there. Like, I try to keep that real humanness about it, I guess you could say, like the trueness of itself. You know what I mean? So, because I feel like once I start like really running it through somebody else, even like and it could just be me. You know what I mean? I could just need to break out of my habit. That somebody controlling that for me, it seems like I'm no longer a part of the process. So for me it's kind of hard in that sense. So as I say, not saying that I need somebody to constantly book my day to day, but even if it comes to a point where it's like I'm only meeting you once, like how can I really give you something that you're truly gonna enjoy if I barely even know who you are, and not even saying that you got to give me your whole life story the first day that I meet you, but again, that connection creates, And again, we all agree with each other. We all don't agree with each other sometimes, whatever else comes to it. And we'll find artists that we like and don't like because we just, we fuck with them or we don't, How's it I say? So, but ultimately at the same time, like I just do the absolute best that I can to, I shouldn't even say just cater to a bunch of people, but show that anybody can come to me and get tattooed.
All right. My name is Matt. I'm 45. I've actually had my first tattoo like right after my 18th birthday. I've known Joe and Graham for, God, I want to say, feels like 10, 15 years. But, I mean, seeing Joe start as an apprentice, seeing Graham start as an apprentice, and then letting, both of them, my entire family has been like under their guns, I guess you could say, for a long time. So it's more than just the skin relationship. Like we're all like legit family. I'd say I'm one of those people that this is not pain for me or painful. It's therapy. Like I've been pushed way beyond most people's limits. And some people don't come back from it. So this to me is like a reminder of like what real pain is. This is not that. It's something I'll live with and continue living with, and I'll appreciate it because it's done by people I love, and that's what really makes it special. It's like a Darth Maul type Oni. I love Star Wars. I'm a nerd. I'm also Asian. And I guess the thing I love about Oni is like the irony of the fact that they look mean and evil and scary, but their purpose serves exactly the opposite. They're supposed to ward off evil, keep you safe. If I can have any extra safety right now or warding of any other evil spirits in my life, then I'll gladly take another one.